I'm Gareth Owen, and this is Dragonheart.
Hello, I'm Mark Griffiths, and I'm stealing Bill's thunder today. He's the host of Dragonheart, but I'm putting a little wraparound because this is a strange Dragonheart of two halves. In a moment, I'll hand over to him, and we will talk with Neil about Sutton United game and our recent form. But after that, a special treat for you. About 15, 20 years perhaps ago, I thought, wouldn't it be great if someone wrote a history of the club? And the problem is, I had so much fun doing the interviews and not get anywhere near starting to write anything. Now, those interviews have awful audio quality, and I've never published any of them. But I've been getting better at wrangling audio as the years have gone on, and I made a bit of a breakthrough this week. So afterwards, there'll be an interview with one of the true legends of Wrexham Football Club, a man who is in the top 5 most appearances for Wrexham, playing in the 50s and 60s, Ali McGowan, tough as old boots, full-back in the old-fashioned style. Ali, sadly, is no longer with us, a lovely, lovely man who not only played for us for years, but then served the club for years as a groundsman, coach, and, as he says, when you listen to him, telling the tales about looking after young players like Joey Jones and Ricky Thomas as they were coming through. They kept his hands pretty full. So that's to look forward to. But firstly, have a listen to us nattering about Wrexham winning at last.
I'm Luke Young, and this is Dragonheart.
Hello, and welcome to Dragonheart. It's been a while, lads. We've got today with us, I'm your host, Bill Long. We've got Mark Griffiths and Neil Williams. How are we feeling after that performance against Sutton?
Yeah, because we're recording this right after that. Relieved might be the word. I've got to be honest, I had a moment of sheer terror because, you know, that shot they had right at the start of the second half when Okonkwo saved it and it went miles in the air and then landed down in the goal mouth. Well, at that precise, I had my laptop plugged into the TV, and at that precise moment, honestly, you couldn't have timed it better. Laszlo decided to jump on the laptop, and he paused it as the ball was hitting the ground in the goal mouth. And I was like, ah! And I was panicking, like, want to move him off, don't want to scare him, but I do want to see what happens. You know, and I was terrified, pressing the space bar again to see whether it was going to go in. Oh man, so that was a real frightening moment. You know, when you get those moments where the ball bobbles towards the goal and you don't know if it's on target or not. Well, it was that times 20. It was terrifying. Thankfully, we survived.
Yeah, I think it's a big relief, isn't it? After, it wasn't going to be an easy game. Sutton, second bottom of the table, but had decent form recently as well. And our away form has been very poor, as we know, and struggling to score goals. But yeah, massive relief, great win. 1,000 Reds fans down in London on a Tuesday night is fantastic. So yeah, really happy after Saturday's defeat at home to Bradford.
I think that you're spot on, and the general sentiment will be why is everyone so pleased with a win against Sutton? But I think it kind of like it's just a good turning point in the season now, isn't it? Get that kind of ugly win under your belt, go to play Notts County at the weekend, and they're not in the greatest of forms either, so it could start a decent run off for us, couldn't it, Neil?
Yeah, well, Notts County had a good win at Newport tonight, so
did they? I didn't. Do you know what? We're recording that soon after the final whistle. I haven't actually had a chance to check all the scores yet. I've got in the background in the front room. I've got Sky Sports News on, so I might see if I start looking shocked at different results. That'll be why.
Well, yeah, so it's not going to be an easy game on Saturday, but we got a win under our belt, which was important tonight. Strange starting lineup. I was quite surprised at the starting lineup, but it seemed to work, and then to be able to bring on, those 3 players to bolster the team in the last 15 minutes or so was massive for Wrexham. And what was Sutton thinking? They take off our 2 strikers and bring on Mullin and Palmer.
And they did give a little bit of pep up front, didn't they, as well? They did well, the pair of them. Mullen was unlucky with that one. They hit the bar.
Yeah.
I don't want to...
That's well, they...
Sorry.
No, go on.
I'm gonna make your day now, Bill, because there were some good results for us. Such as Accrington 2, AFC Wimbledon 0. Barrow 1, Forest Green Rovers 2.
Oh.
That's quite a shocker.
Wait for the Mansfield results.
Sorry? Oh,
wait for the Mansfield result.
I know the Mansfield result because they did mention it in commentary, but it was the only one that it's the only one I've caught.
And the Stockport one.
Well, Milton Keynes lost 4-0.
Oh, that's good.
4-0. Suddenly it's scarily looking close to the playoffs. And then it was Mansfield 9, Harrogate 2. But then Harrogate were in the playoffs, so that's not even so bad.
Wow.
County won 3-1. And then the Stockport lost 3-1 at home to Crewe. So, Crewe get a good result, but, Stockport, the gap between us and the top is narrowed. Oh, it's mad, isn't it?
All really positive then, and I think it's one thing that's been a learning curve for all of us, really, since we've come up to this division is quite how much we're not going to get in our own way again, even against decent, well, not decent teams, the non-decent teams. I mean to say, because a team like Sutton, they could get relegated this season, and with that exact squad would finish mid-table in the National League, wouldn't they? I think is fair to say. So those teams that gave us a bit of a fright last year, every so often, they're the worst teams in this league, aren't they, Mark?
Yeah, and that's been exactly my concern with this bad run of form lately. I didn't feel. I mean, Bradford was something different. I thought we played pretty well, but we didn't take the chances, and I think there was maybe a little lack of confidence after those defeats away from home, which I think carried on to today as well, to be honest. But to be fair, I thought we played well against Bradford, but the real problem was those away games against teams that get in our faces. I felt I expected Sutton to. They didn't that as much as I expected to in a way, but we still. I mean, let's be honest, that was not a pretty win. It was not a devastating, glorious performance, but who cares? We got 3 points. When we're in a really low moment, we can kick on from that now. And, it's and never mind the quality, feel the points, I think is exactly the key thing to take from this. As Neil said, it's interesting because there were some interesting changes, and Parkinson's going to have to make some decisions now about whether to stick with that team or bring back players that he's appears to have rested. I mean,
are they rested or were they injured? I mean, Evans went off, didn't he, with a knock, I think.
Yeah.
I thought Luke Young made a great impact when he came on today, and that's going to be a big call for him.
Yeah, he did.
If Evans is not fit for Saturday.
Yeah.
Who do you start with?
I think we've also got to mention. I think you're right. Who do we start with? But I think we've also got to mention that man Will Boyle.
Yeah.
Who let's be completely fair to him. Came into some fairly placed criticism after he got sent off against Newport County. Hasn't had the easiest of starts to his Wrexham career, but a bit like Andy Cannon earlier in the season, comes back into the side after being sent off and makes a real difference, doesn't he?
Yeah, massively. And, at the very start, I wasn't too sure. There were miscued clearances and, I sort of felt that was par for the course for him, really. He's not had a very happy season, never mind just that red card. But then, he scores the goal. Second half, he was terrific. I did wonder when I saw the team, I assumed we weren't going to do this, but I did wonder, is he going to put him in the middle of the three to replace Tozer? Because I wonder, I feel he gets dragged out of position a bit easily. He'll step up and he's not quick enough on the turn to get back. And teams have pulled us around earlier in the season in that way. But if he's in the middle of the three, he doesn't really have to do that. He just has to do the defensive things, get your head to it, get your foot to it. And in the second half, when Sutton were really pouring on the pressure, I thought he and O'Connell and Cleworth defended our penalty area absolutely superbly. Really impressive.
I think that goal was a great boost for him as well. A confidence boost, as you say. I think he needed that. As you say, Mark, he's had a tricky first 6 months at Wrexham. He hasn't been broken into the first team much. As he said, when he did, he got that red card and sent off. And I think that goal today or tonight for him will do the world of good. and you could see confidence oozing out of him after that, with his his passes, his headers, and as you say, the back three were phenomenal tonight. They blocked everything. They put the bodies in the way. As you say, it wasn't a pretty win, but do we really care against? No. We knew it was going to be a scrappy affair against Sutton. The most important thing is the 3 points, and back on the score sheet and scoring 2 goals from not from set pieces either.
And good to see Elliot Lee score again, wasn't it? Again, he wasn't as creative as he has been, but he popped up and nailed it when he counted, didn't he?
Yeah, for the second goal, he was in the right place at the right time. But great work again by the strikers that's come on to as a subs. And as I say, Elliot Lee was in there and he struck the ball well, and that's what we lacked on Saturday. As you said, we played quite well on Saturday. We just lacked that killer instinct on Saturday against Bradford, and I couldn't believe it was at the first game in 50 odd that we haven't scored at home in. So, which is phenomenal, really. Well,
here's one for you. We've only lost 2 league games at home this season, and Graham Alexander was manager for both of those games.
Yeah.
So, it's not often in a year that you'll come across the same manager twice at home, is it? It does happen, but it's not often in a year. And sometimes maybe it's fair to say that a manager just has another manager's number, and it could be that was that's been the case at the weekend. We were unfortunate with the way result sort of panned out, and we've now gone from an okay-ish performance to another okay-ish performance where we've got the 3 points this time, and it's something to build on, maybe, Mark, isn't it?
Oh yes, I don't think he's got Parkinson's number, by the way, personally, because that Milton Keynes game was wasn't it? And then the game on Saturday, we should have won it. So I think he was a bit lucky. I was challenged to try and find an example of a manager winning twice at the racecourse against us. There are some Wrexham managers, of course, who haven't managed 2 wins in the season. No, I'm not going to go down that road, Gary Mills. But the only one I could think of, was in the 1986-7 season, and here's a grim chapter in our history. We drew Chester at home in the FA Cup, and they beat us. And we drew them at home as well in the LDV Vans, and they beat us. And Harry McNally was manager for both of those games. The FA Cup one was the famous one where their physio got arrested for throwing a bucket of water into the terrace behind the dugout. Happy days. Derby days, eh? But yeah, so that's one example I could think of. But 2 league wins, wow. Well, I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, with 2 different teams as well. I'm sure that'd be very difficult to find.
Mad, isn't it?
So, do you stick with that side? I know we sort of danced around it slightly about decisions Parkinson's got to make, but do we stick with that side now? Do you stick with a winning side? Or, if Aaron Hayden was rested and Tozer was rested rather than dropped, do they come back in? Some tough decisions to make there, Mark, isn't there?
I think Tozer comes back in. And then I think Barnett's unlucky to lose his place, but I suspect Bolton will stay in there. I think Marriott Mullen is... I think you've got to look at Mullen's, just whether he got a bit of confidence out of that nice little cameo today. But having said that, if you're a professional, Marriott's turning around and saying, what did I do wrong there? Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think Tozer will come back in for Boyle, I suspect. But yeah, that's an interesting one. And of course, the other thing, as Neil said, how is George Evans? Hopefully, he just felt a bit of a tug and decided, right, I'm coming off. Hopefully, before it became something serious. But I didn't like the way he was grabbing hold of the back of his leg, wasn't he? I didn't like the look at that. Let's hope it's nothing too bad.
No, it felt to me like, I don't know, maybe you're just reading too much into it, but the way he sort of put his arm up after he went down, it was almost as if there'd been some sort of discussion about whichever muscle or joint or something that was bothering him. So maybe he's gone in at half time, felt it feel a bit stiff, and they said, "All right, we'll take you off if you feel it again." And that's what's happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's the case. But you alluded to it. Neil, but I thought Luke Young looked fantastic as a replacement, and it's easy to forget how much depth we've got in midfield, isn't it?
Oh, it's so easy. Yeah, he made it, great return to the first team. And I mean, for me, Luke Young is one of the best hitters from a dead ball situation. His corners that he played last season were just pinpoint for Hayden or whoever, And I think we've lacked that from our corners and our set pieces we were so sloppy on Saturday with some of the balls winning in the box there from corners or whatever. Too close to the keeper or whatever. I think Luke Young is a master of a dead ball situation and getting in the right place, and I think we've missed that. And do we start on Saturday with the 11 we finished up with tonight, or do we start with the 11 that started tonight and then mix it up again? It's a huge decision to make, but you can't see Parky maybe leaving out Mullin against Notts County.
That's
or
true.
Palmer. I don't know.
That's true, that isn't it? Big game players who relish that sort of fixture, and also the fact that we've got, we've had the better of things against Notts County in recent meetings, and those players are such a big part of that. Might be that there's a psychological war to be had with picking Mullin up front, just to make them worry about him. That's a really good point. That
And you've got to remember we've got another game midweek next week as well, and we're MK Dons. So
yeah.
Do you then almost go to the next 2 or 3 weeks, much like last February, actually, are just managed rather than saying, "Oh, we need to stick with this side for 90 minutes every week because they're winning." I think even if we win, Parkinson's got to be brave as need to rotate the fitness rather than actually just stick with the side purely on the points mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's good to see Young and Palmer back and involved and having an impact off the bench. And it's not just next week, is it? There's going to be a good run now of Saturday, Tuesday. So, maybe this is a point where he can rotate that squad a little bit. James Jones wasn't on the bench. Does that mean he'll get a start on Saturday? It was a heavy pitch as well today, so there'll be a few players needing to recover. Yeah, it'll be really interesting. It's unpredictable, but maybe that's not the worst thing. And it was quite a settled team that had those run of losses, so maybe just freshen it up and giving people an opportunity might help in that sense of like banishing that lack of confidence and bad feeling about the losses. We got the win, and now maybe we have players who didn't suffer in the team so much who can come in and freshen up a bit.
Yeah, I think as you said, we mixed it up a lot last season, didn't we? When we had games midweek and on Saturday. So that's happening again. We're away at MK Dons on Tuesday, then we're another long trip next Saturday away at Gillingham.
Yeah.
So they've got some miles to do on the road, So I think you may mix it up.
Yeah. I think you're right. I might get a game at last. I'm sure Arthur won't mind. Just step to one side. And Howard and okay, maybe I won't get a game.
What do we sort of attribute this run of form to then? Because I think every game seems to have been a different problem, doesn't it? I can't quite put my finger. Usually when you have to see these runs of forms, you say, well, yeah, it's clearly that. But I just feel like every game's given us different problems, doesn't it, Mark?
Yes and no, I think. I think my thinking on this is, firstly, take the Blackburn game out of the equation because, that was away to a championship side and they punished our mistakes. And we actually, I thought, were very good until their third goal went in. I was delighted for us to go to Ewood Park and take the game to them like that, take the lead and cause them further problems. If McLean had scored that chance from close in that the keeper made a really good double save from, that would have been a very different game. So I feel like take that out of the equation. True. And then the 3 league defeats are all very disappointing. But I felt like the first 2, the league matches, I just felt, and I was quite gratified after the Salford game, and I heard Parkinson say the same thing. So I felt good because I saw it the same way as him, that we just needed to have more faith in ourselves. We've got really quality players, they should trust each other, move it around, on their own half. These teams were getting in our faces and hassling us, and we were panicking and knocking it long and hopeful. I usually get annoyed when people talk about us just knocking it long, so I feel that we're not, but we were in those games. And I just felt like we needed to calm down, remember that we're really good, we've got good technical players, and be confident enough to resist the press. And when you do that, you pass through the press and you open them up and you score goals. And I felt we just didn't have the confidence in ourselves to do that. And then that lack of confidence, I thought, sort of bled into the Bradford game a bit. And that was a very different game. And it was heartening to see us play much better. But we weren't quite what we usually are at home, were we? And I think that was maybe a slight lack of confidence. That sense of when we play at home, we'll always get a goal. When we play at home, no matter what, we'll finish strongly. We'll get something. Wasn't quite there. So I think it was firstly a failure to back ourselves against aggressive physical teams. I didn't think the refs helped us much in those matches either. And then the Bradford game, our confidence a little dented for once, and it's just sort of carried on into that. I've got to say as well, their goal was a foul. Elliot Lee was fouled twice in the build-up to the goal. I
hate being the sour grapes guy, Mark, when we lose, because when you lose, you lose. But that should have been a drop ball to us as well. They shouldn't have even had possession of the ball to start the move off.
Totally agree.
Yeah. But Lee, okay, maybe Lee's overplaying it, and he should have just got rid. Although it's ironic, and I've just been saying we should trust our talent. But the guy's all over him about 25 yards out, and he pushes him pretty blatantly. The ref doesn't give the foul, and Lee carries on, and he grabs Lee by the shoulders and pulls him to the ground. I mean, it's a foul. I'd like the one today was a penalty. So swings and roundabouts, I admit, but
yeah,
that goal shouldn't have been allowed for me. But like I said, McLean got a touch lucky, shall we say, at Sutton.
Well, going on those two incidents then, just to sort of cap off a bit of talk about referees, it kind of went our way today, didn't it? Neil, the two penalty shouts that Mark's talking about there, both pens, either one of a penalty.
I didn't see them, guys. I was in and out watching the television, so I missed it. Sorry.
Well, the McLean one, to me, is a clear penalty and red card. While I accept he is, I'm trying to get his arm out of the way, isn't he? His arm's out and he pulls it back behind his body, but in doing so, he makes contact with it. It's a goal if he didn't do that. To me, that's a clear penalty and red card, I'm afraid. And I don't really see much argument against him. His arm wasn't tucked right in. It was like a sort of, not quite 45-degree angle, but, getting towards it. And it was a goal if I hadn't hit his arm. I thought that was a no-brainer, I've got to be honest. Well, I'm not sure. Which other penalty are we talking about? I don't remember another one at the Sutton game.
There was it Will Boyle went clattering into someone at one point, and they had a bit of a shout for.
Oh, that was.
I don't know. I'm not. I've seen them given Mark at our level. I'm not.
All right. Right. Okay. I'll step back from that. I've definitely seen. I mean, remember at Wimbledon when Owen O'Connell was penalised for. The tiniest of touches. The two Bradford penalties this season. You're exactly right. But I mean, no referee worth his salt is doing anything but what that ref is saying. Just get up. I mean, I couldn't see what he was asking for. I thought it was pretty clear foul on Boyle. He grabbed him, pulled him to the floor, and the way he was jumping and appealing, I thought Boyle maybe had fallen on the ball with his hand. But when you looked at the replays, he hadn't. So I genuinely no way. Well, you'd be really feeling.
They made a big song and a dance about it. Is more the point I'm making. I don't think. I almost lean towards thinking neither were penalties. Just because I maybe I need to see the McLean one again. A bit like Neil. I had my little lad sort of on and off, so there were patches I didn't see properly. But with the McLean one, I didn't see the replay. But from live, it looked like he just sort of his arm was just there. Do you know what I mean? And if it's a natural position, who knows? It's
the problem with the rule.
Almost feel like in.
No, go on. Sorry.
No, go on.
I think that the problem with the rule, to my eyes, is the rule talks about natural position, but what they mean is, are your arms up against your sides or tucked into your body, or are they away from them? Whereas the pundits, and I think understandably, say, well, a natural position is for your arms to be in the air when you're jumping, which is true. So that natural position, I think it's the wrong phrase.
Mm.
What they talk in the rules about what shape is your silhouette? Are your arms tucked into your body, or are your arms out? That's what they mean by natural position, which obviously isn't accurate, because when you're running, your arms are not tucked into your body. Imagine that if football was played by players who only had to tuck their arms into their bodies. Penguin ball would be brilliant. There's a title for the show: Penguin ball. But that's, I think, part of the misunderstanding of it, that they've used the wrong phrase. But
yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean, is McLean deliberately trying to handle that ball? No, he definitely isn't. Because why would you handle that ball? It's going to be a red card and a penalty. But did he handle it and stop it going in the net? Yeah. To me, is his arm totally tucked in? No.
Well,
he felt like a
penalty to me.
But did the ref see it?
If nothing else, then Mark, we've
absolutely right.
Well, we've benefited from the curse of dodgy refs at this level, haven't we, today? Which makes a nice change for once.
Time.
Any sort of final thoughts on the Sutton game, lads, or just the form in general?
I'm just grateful that we've got a win under our belt again. It's been two or three seasons since we last lost 5 on the spin. So important today to get 3 points and to get on the score sheet again, really. Because it's another thing is the last 2-3 games we've struggled to score goals. So yeah, happy with that result, 2-1.
Yeah, me too. The result's everything in this game, because we just need the win to get us feeling confident and back on track again. Every team that wins a title will have a rough patch. We've just had a rough patch. It's how you react to it that matters. And I mean, to me, like I say, never mind anything else. Just look at the result. We're 4th now. We've got a game in hand on Mansfield. If we win that, we're only 2 points behind them. We've got a game in hand on Stockport. If we win that, we're only 3 points behind them. We've got 2 games in hand on Crewe, and they're only 2 points ahead of us. And 5th is Barrow, with 2 points ahead of them, and they've played 2 games more. And everybody else has played more games beneath us until you get down to Morecambe in 11th. So, I don't care how it came about. That's a decent-looking league table, that, to me. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. Well, after this, speaking of decent-looking league tables, we're going to speak about the second phase of the Women's League.
I'm Steve Dale, and this is Dragonheart.
So the second phase of the Adran Premier League starting. Mark, you're gonna have to forgive me. I've got baby brain. Has it started this week, or was this week just gone the last fixture?
This week was the last game of the first phase.
That was it. Yeah.
Isn't someone missing? Where's Neil gone, Bill?
I heard something about a piglet in need, in danger.
Need a piglet. Isn't that fantastic? And then he couldn't get off the meeting, and I said, "Don't worry, I can remove you from it," and I did. And then I got this stuff about what did he do? Why are you reporting him? And I was like, "No, I don't want to get him kicked off Zoom.
Off to feed a pig."
Yeah, that's what.
But when he said that, Mark, I must admit, I thought he was joking, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, we've got to go feed it before bedtime." It's like, oh god, that's it. The stories about Neil are true, aren't they? Bless him.
Oh yeah, it's a runt, isn't it? Apparently, who's still with its mum, but he feeds it goat's milk twice a day. And I tell you what, I wish Neil would come here and feed me goat's milk twice a day. What a life that would be! As I'm fanned by palm leaves from my slaves. Oh, it'd be beautiful.
That Disney money's coming in all right for you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Everything's coming up, Griffo. Yeah, the Sunday team finished 3rd in the first phase. Could have finished 2nd as well, although as it turned out, it sort of felt like if we beat Cardiff Met, that we finished 2nd, because Swansea are bound to lose at Cardiff. Swansea won at Cardiff. And so, a little
Yeah.
aside, we suddenly seem like we might actually have a title race after Cardiff appearing to be absolutely walking it. We didn't manage to win, unfortunately, because the points carry over to the next phase. But what a fantastic achievement to finish third. You know, I think if we just steered clear of relegation, we'd have been fairly satisfied. And, you know, the hope was to be top four. But to clinch that top four place with like 4 games to spare and to be so close to Swansea, brilliant achievement. And it's quite exciting. I mean, we've essentially got a shot to nothing now in the second phase because 6 more games against the other teams in the top 4. Aberystwyth are going to have to absolutely do something beyond belief to catch us. Because basically, if they lose both their games to Cardiff, they can only finish level with us where we are now. So surely we're third at least. And it's just a brilliant shot to nothing there. So if we finish third at the end of the season, that is outstanding. And you know, we're fairly close to Swansea, although that win at Cardiff sort of mixed everything up in the top 3 a little bit. Still think Cardiff are too far ahead of us, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be intense, but really good fun.
Do you think, without wanting to sound negative, it's you're watching the games every week, so you know a lot more about me, that we've done really well against the bottom half of the table, but have struggled a little bit against Cardiff and Swansea. Is that going to be a challenge that's difficult for us to overcome?
Yeah. I wouldn't shy away from that. Cardiff are very, very good, and Swansea. You can see both of those clubs have had the benefit of being tied to a professional club for years. You can really see that. Having said that, I mean, you look at the times we played them. We draw with Swansea first game of the season, and they get an equaliser in the 94th minute when they've got 10 players. We should have won that, and I think it's reasonable.
Which was a sickener, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a sickener.
Yeah, but I think if we were in that position now, we win it. Because our fitness has massively improved, massively. And our defence has been really solid all season. Then we lost 3-0 at home to Cardiff. That does look bad, but the truth of the matter is, after an hour, it was 1-0 to them, and we'd had at least as much of the game as they had. We'd had a lot of good chances on the break, and we were causing them real problems. But then, last half hour, our fitness kicked in, and we struggled. The 2 away games, we've been second best by margin. I accept that. But the fact is, the actual losing margin hasn't been extreme. Both of them are, you know, proper football scores, if you will. And they've been quite preventable goals as well. So, you know, to be honest, you know, we're already, I think, in a position where we could scrap it out with them and dig in and get draws. Or maybe at home, hit them on the break. I don't think we're miles behind. It's a bit like Wrexham men's team in away games. Not quite doing ourselves justice in some of those games against Cardiff and Swansea. But I feel it'll come. And I'll be interested to see how the 3 players we brought in last week bed in. Because are we bringing them to strengthen our squad? Because the squad's not massive. Or are we bringing them in because, you know, a couple of judicious signings could really boost a side which is going well anyway. Brooke Cairns made a debut on Sunday as a sub and showed some real composure on the ball. I think some of the physical stuff she found more difficult, but she hasn't played for a bit. But some of her quality on the ball was really nice, and you sort of think, okay, right, so we can see something that might build up in the coming weeks there. So yeah, it's a fantastic shot to nothing, and then we can reassess it in the summer and see what we can realistically aim for next year. It's exciting. It's really exciting.
I think, yeah, and I think the one big thing that suits us really in this scenario, just talking purely from like having watched football for years, not so much what I know about the women's team, because I wouldn't want to sit here and pretend I'm an expert on the side. I've seen them a couple of times this season, but not as much as I'd like. But you know, being in that position where you're in a situation with 2 other teams who there's a lot of pressure on them to get results in every single game because they've got each other, you know, breathing down each other's necks. We have the least pressure in this situation, don't we, Mark? And I think that in an almost, that's what's really interesting about this phase setup in the Welsh leagues, is that it's almost like knockout football in a way, isn't it? Because we don't need to win these games. We're secure now, but they do.
Yeah, absolutely. We genuinely have no pressure on us whatsoever. Aberystwyth are difficult, and we did the double over them, but they made us fight for those wins. We're going to have to really repeat that, I think, and then hope that Aberystwyth can be difficult against those other teams. Until last Sunday, they were the only team we'd taken any points off Cardiff. Admittedly, it was second game of the season, and I rather suspect it was one of those things where, if you're going to play Man City or somebody, it's best to play them early on when they've not quite got into their groove after the close season. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. But having said that, they are no mugs, Aberystwyth. And yeah, if we can be ruthless against them as we were in the league, that could help us out a bit. I mean, they haven't published the league fixtures yet. It'd be quite interesting if we play Aberystwyth first, because that then sets up the possibility of, the certainty that at least one of Cardiff or Swansea will drop points. And if we're able to capitalise and win, we suddenly put the cat among the pigeons a little bit. I don't think we could realistically look to get after Cardiff. And I suspect that loss to Swansea will be an aberration, which ultimately I'll be disappointed by, because if Swansea had lost, like I said, and we'd won, we'd be second now. But it's just exciting. It's an adventure, and
it's nice. It's nice to be involved, isn't it? With the lack of pressure of this being the first season at the top, and anything feels like a bonus now, isn't it? Like you sort of said earlier, and it's something to build on for the future. You sort of mentioned it earlier. What do you think we do in the summer? Like regardless of what happens for the next couple of weeks, how do you approach, as from an early thoughts point of view, how do we approach summer?
Well, firstly, I think it's I think a lot of people think, we got so much money behind us, we can just blow this league away. That's not the case. I don't think that money helps enormously. We can't splash out loads of money on players because it's a semi-pro league. You can't suddenly try to buy in, sort of players from a higher level, because they'll be professional. So that limits us, I would argue. But last summer, we brought in, 4 players, all of whom raised the level in what was already an excellent side. The 2 centre-backs, Doran and Allen, who are terrific, really quality pair. And Doran, a very nasty injury, sadly, now is out for the season, and that's a massive blow. Cara Jones, who came in, and she's just got such energy up front. Unfortunately, Hannah Keriakopoulos, who's basically played 20 minutes for us and has had to retire, sadly. But I mean, if we are able to show that nous again in the transfer market, I just think we got it. It's a good team, and it's a good squad, but it's a small squad.
Hi guys, I'm Dominic Vose, and this is Dragonheart.
That's our bit done. And after this, we'll hand over to Ali McGowan, chatting about his times at the racecourse.
I mean, I believe it was quite odd how you came to Wrexham. Is it Tommy Bannon?
Yes, Tommy Bannon brought me down. He was down here, and I played with St Johnson, and I got a free transfer. And Wraith Rovers come after me. And I got a letter from Tommy asking me would I come down here. So, because I'd been at school with him, he was my mate at school, and we lived in the same street, and we'd been pals for years, so I said okay. So I come down, and I've been here ever since.
And you made an immediate impact as well. You didn't miss many games, but for years after that, didn't you?
No, I didn't miss a lot. No, I was quite a regular in the first team, and I loved it, And when I come down, I went to the pits, and then the pits in Bersham, I went to Bersham, and I was there for 5 years in Bersham, and playing, so bad time, bad time. And we'd come up the pit and play at night, they had games at night, you had to do it because you weren't on much money then, £12 a week when you're playing in the first team, £8 in the reserves, and £6 in the close season.
Yeah.
So nearly all the players had to take a job. Some worked in Brimber Steelworks, some worked in the factories, and some the building sites. They went to the building sites. So some driving. So they all had to have jobs to make their money up.
It must have been hard physically to work down the pitch and play as well.
Well, I was lucky. I wasn't on the face. I was on the on course, so it wasn't too bad. And the lads didn't give me hard work. They looked after me. So it was good that way.
And I think you look at the way referees are now, it was a harder game then, I think, as well, wasn't it?
Oh yes, you couldn't hold people off the ball. You couldn't hold them off, or it'd be obstruction.
Yeah.
It'd be a foul straight away. There would none of this pulling shots, so that you'd been off.
And you were a strong player, it's not a fullback, was you? So you were...
Yeah, I was a fullback. Officer. Aye.
I was looking at some old comments, and I think it was one of your managers said you'd never seen a player clear so many shots off the line as you. You could read the game really well.
Oh, I cleared a lot, yeah. I scored a few through my own goals as well.
And a couple at the right end, wasn't there?
I scored two,
Yeah.
yes, I scored two. Two headers.
Uh-huh.
One against Accrington. And I think it was Oldham was the other one, I can't remember. I think it was Oldham up here in the racecourse and Accrington Stanley away. So I got us a draw in the both games.
Yeah.
So we're quite happy.
And as well, I mean, you played against Busby Babes, didn't you? That's
Yes,
still
in
high there.
1957, aye.
So it must be quite an experience, that.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was just, the crowd, they were buying tickets in the reserve game, and there was about 16 or 17,000 at the reserve game. But they were just going in, getting a ticket, out, back in, get a ticket. Some must have paid about 3 or 4 times just to get tickets, And they had some good players they had, It was a shame they get killed in that, but we weren't bad for the first quarter now, but after that they murdered us, just murdered us.
I saw a thing the other day about I think it was Reading you played in the last round, and you knew before the replay you were going to be playing Man United, and so it was a real cup final, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Because they put the tickets up for sale. They said after the match the tickets will be on sale for the United match. They didn't think we would beat them. But we beat them 2-1. Ron Hewitt and Johnny Anderson, they scored the goals, but it was a great experience, Before the match, before the match, when you're getting ready, Billy Waters, he couldn't tie his laces, he was so nervous, Billy, he was a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He was so nervous, and, we were all in the same boat, United, so.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience.
My dad was in the crowd.
Yeah, he would be, yeah.
He was saying that it was like a one-way system, the whole town. You don't let the cars come up one way and down the the crowd was so big.
Yeah. Well, there was 35,000, 36,000 or something, And it was great, My brothers, they come down from Scotland, I had them from Scotland, and they enjoyed the match, but as I say, first quarter now, we were okay, but after that.
They were a big classy, weren't they? And but you had success in the Wrexham. You got promotion, didn't you?
Oh, two or three times. It was from the fourth to the third, and the third to the fourth, and up and down. Three Welsh Cups, won 3 Welsh Cups, and a losers. Three winners and losers I've got.
I saw an odd little pattern. I think it was the first 2 years you won the Welsh Cup, and 2 years later you won it. But the one in between, Cardiff won 6-0 against Wrexham to knock us out. So that's a bit of a strange thing. In Cardiff. Anything like that. But
But we weren't in Europe then, you know. There was a shame that, you know, because we had a nice side, you know, we had a good side. Because we beat Cardiff and we beat Swansea, you know, in the World Cup, and it would have been nice if we'd have got in there, you know, at that time.
Any players you played with who really stick out in your memory as?
Well, Adran Griffiths was a top class player, you know. And then there was Ian Moyer, he was a character, marvellous winger, you know. Don Weston, he was like a greyhound, he was Don. Alan Fox, centre half. Kevin Keelan, the goalkeeper, you know, they had some good players.
I'm hoping to speak to Ian Moyer in a few days. He's living in Chester now.
Chester, yes. I don't know his address.
I've made
you've got it,
yeah,
have you?
yeah.
Oh, aye.
But he was a real crowd pleaser, wasn't he?
He was good on the ball, you know. And there was Clive Colbridge. Clive could always get you a penalty, you know. He always fell in the box, you know, so and got a penalty for us. And you had Tommy Bannon. He was a good centre forward, you know. Big friend of your granddad's. Tommy's was because we were members of this club, the old club, you know. And big pal he is. There were some tidy players.
As well, of course.
Ron was a Welsh international. He didn't get caps when he was with Wrexham. He had to go to Cardiff.
Yeah.
And he died a couple of weeks ago, you know. George Evans, big strong lad, George, big player. He'd passed away and all. Johnny Anderson, ball player, you know, good ball player, Johnny, and he passed away. So.
And you went through a few managers as well, did you?
With Peter Jackson was the first, and then Cliff Lloyd came in. Cliff was always the caretaker. He always took over when everybody else went, you know. And then there was Johnny Love, Ken Barnes, Billy Morris. Billy Morris.
How did they compare? You know, did they have similar styles in those days, managers, or were they very different characters?
No, they were different characters, you know, different. They didn't say much, you know. You didn't take any notes. You see, once you go on the field, everything changed. You know, you had to play your sort of own game. You know, there were no tactics then days. You just go and you had to play your best and win the game, innit? You know.
So it was much more rigid then, the two fullbacks.
Yeah. You sometimes we weren't allowed to go over the halfway line. You got a bit of a rollicking if you went over the halfway line because you should have been back. You're a defender, you know. But I always used to sneak down now and again, you know.
You did well to score 2 goals.
That's right.
I believe that you played as well in the 10-1 game against Hartlepool that a lot of people told me about as well.
Yeah, that was a
quiet afternoon.
Game then, wasn't it? There was three hat-tricks, I think, wasn't it? Yes, three hat-tricks. Yeah.
They must have got dispirited by the end, wasn't they?
Oh, they were, yeah. You don't like to see any team getting beat that much, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, they would have done the same to us, wouldn't they?
Yes.
You know, if they could have done that, because I remember going to. Was it Northampton? Northampton, I think it was. Ooh, and they beat us 7-0 or 7-1. And they were shooting from 50 yards and they were gunning like rockets. You know, just one of them games. Everything went right for them. You know, so the same where they shot from it hit the back of the net. 7-0, I think we beat. Oh, that was the worst beating, I think. Yeah. The team I was in, you know.
Yeah.
You held your head in shame.
I was looking as well as maybe other cup games as well, apart from Man United. And I think you played Leicester when they were the first division team.
Yeah, we played them away, I think.
Yeah.
Was it away? There's some good players. There's some good players and all, you know. And then we played Liverpool. Maybe it's 3-0, I think it was, you know. Well, they had a good team then as well. You know, they were top dogs then as well. You know, but some good games. You know,
Must be exciting, you know, playing with Wrexham and then getting to go to a stadium like Anfield as well. It's a great occasion for the players and the fans, isn't it?
I suppose. But I never went there. They played up here. I was on the racecourse.
Sorry,
I was on the racecourse. On the racecourse.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the time there was a snow. Was there snow there? And we had to clear the snow off the pitch. You know, they made us clear. They made the players clear the snow off the pitch and all that. Yeah. Oh,
Gosh, wouldn't expect that. These days, they wouldn't have that out there.
no, they wouldn't. We had to shovel the snow, and because I always remember I got sacked. You know, he sacked me because I was talking. I think it was Ken. I'm not sure who was the man. Ken Miles. I think he said, get out. He said, because I was talking, me and somebody else were having a chat. You know, and we were leaning on the shovel. So he threw us out.
And there's only another memorable cup game when he beat Blackburn for Mickey Metcalf.
Mickey Metcalf, yeah, he scored the hat trick, yes. Came out winning the extra time. And I think it was it extra time? I've got a bad name. And Mickey scored the hat trick, yeah, Mickey scored the hat trick. And that was a big night for the Wrexham that night, you know. Made everybody happy, you know, and it made the town happy as well, you know. And we had a lot of good supporters, you know, a lot of good people were nice, you know.
Yeah. It's odd how Wrexham always seem to be a good cup team. You know.
Yeah.
They've had a couple of new fans.
And it carried on, didn't it, over the years? Yeah, they always seem to have a good cup run, didn't they? You know, they beat some of the big top teams, don't they? You know.
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
But your playing was cut short by an injury against Watford, wasn't it?
Yeah, I broke my leg. Yeah, I had a compound fracture, you know, and I was in plaster for about 12 months.
Yeah.
And it takes you another 12 months to get fit again, you know, but by that I was too old then, you know. I broke it when I was 33.
Yeah.
So by then I was 35, innit, you know, so my playing days was nearly over, innit? So I went to Bethesda. I think I played 2 games there, Bethesda, and then I got offered a job looking after the floodlight lads, you know, Joey Jones and Mickey Thomas, Graham Whittle. So I took that. And then they made me groundsman, you know, I did a job as groundsman. But I didn't like that job.
No.
Didn't know enough about it, you know, I didn't know enough about it. And then I packed and then I was steward of the Catholic here for a few years.
Joey was telling me a story. Typical Joey. He and Mickey Thomas used to race each other up and down the floodlights.
Yes, they used to climb the floodlights and be sitting up there. You'd be looking for them, innit? And you'd see, where have them lot gone, you know. And you look up and they'd all be sitting in different floodlights. And then they raced down. I used to be there. Then John Neal come, you know, John was here. When John Neal was here, they had to go to the tech. So there was all the Liverpool lads, Joey, Mickey, Bob Scott. And John had said to me, "Now go and see if they go in the school because we're having some complaints." You know. So I'd watch and you could see them get in the front door. And the next thing, John would have a phone call to come to see whoever's the head man in the school. Your players weren't here for the classes. Well, they come here. Oh, they might have come in the front door, but they're going out the back door and gone home. I'd see them going in the front door, you know, I'd see them going in the front door, but they'd gone out the back.
Yeah.
And off they go away, they go for the day off. And John John had to go and apologise, innit? Anyway, I stopped him going, and there was a waste of time then going on, when they were doing that. They only went 1 week, 1 day a week, and they were on enough.
So you kept, so watching Wrexham a bit, did you, after you finished playing? Because
Yeah, so as I say, I was groundsman, and then my leg got awful sore. My ankle, and I went and got it fused, and got it fused, and then I was no good after that, I couldn't walk very well, so I packed everything in then, so that was it. But I enjoyed it. It was a wonderful, wonderful game, a wonderful life, and I never regretted 1 minute coming down to Wrexham. It was marvellous, I thought, and I met some nice people, some lovely people, and I've been here ever since. Well, I haven't gone home, so it was great.
I'm Aaron Hayden, and this is Dragonhearts.
So a lovely man, Andy McGowan. I'm proud to say he was good friends with my grandfather, and he was a person who essentially committed his life to Wrexham Football Club and to the town of Wrexham as well, where he stayed, despite having come down from Scotland, as he heard. A true legend of the club, and we'll have more of those that I've managed to repair coming in the coming weeks. That's all for Dragonheart this week. Have a nice weekend.
I'm Tommy Cows, and this is Dragonheart. There you go.